So here we are again with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes Q&A with all our lovely CG personnel. Let's see if it's like the last one where they give us a whole bunch of information but don't actually give us any information. So, as you can see, categories are general, economy, content, relics, quality of life, and mechanics. So I'll put a timestamp for each one of these in case you don't want to listen to me go through every single question. As you can see, some staffies and the old one laptop gag well and truly put to rest. That's all hired. Let's get right into it, shall we? Okay, first topic, general questions. Hi, thanks for the Q&A. Any hope to see the general lag and long loading times between pages resolved? Top Hat announced in the State of the Galaxy that we're working on a release next week to address these issues. Keep an eye out for more information from Crumb as we get closer to the release. When will you implement some new different game mode where you can use every character you have in some kind of endless mode? Galactic War looks quite enticing for such a game mode. Guild PvP mode, sandbox mode. CG Eric. I wish I had something. Oh, here we go. I wish I had something more concrete to say, but the team is exploring options around a mode similar to this. There are lots of different ways to approach this problem, and we don't really have any specific details or a timeline to share at this time. So I have fuck all at this point. Next, you mentioned last Q&A that you were working on features to help new players grow quicker, reach endgame faster. Any more on this? The team is actively working on these features and the communications plan that leads up to their release. I expect we'll start sharing details sometime in November. Okie dokie. In the October State of the Galaxy, you said, we're going to be talking about a feature we've been working on for new players that we think will make the new game experience something that can be better navigated. Are you planning one sort of Jedi Padawan system which permits play with a lower and better player? CG Top Hat. The type of system was discussed for later this year but ultimately pushed this out for consideration in a future update. What we're actually angling closer to is taking some of our core events, legendaries, journeys, etc., moving them out of calendar rotation and instead making them a standing event that players can start to interact with whenever they're ready. Oh, not bad. Our theory here is that part of the overwhelmingness about the new player experience is that there is a ton to do and not all of it is apparent. So much of what is the day in... So much of what is the day in and day out of the game is kind of inner circle knowledge that takes a long time to get savvy. Fundamentally, we want players to get better, oriented earlier and have a clearer understanding of what the path to success in the game looks like. We're working on some additional pieces to this, but we're not ready to unveil it all. That, what a mouthful. Okay, what are we going to do now that the laptop's broken? Time to move offices. Yeah, right. Question, will there be an effort to manage game balance with the introduction of new characters so there is more diversity at the top squad arena? I understand the newest legendary characters should be very powerful, but playing in the arena where 90% of the teams are the same for 3 to 6 months after legendary journey characters release is kind of dull. See Jedi Revan and Darth Vader. Yes. Currently, I like the diversity of teams I see now in arena. Relics really help promote this. Was this your intention? Game balance is an ongoing effort that involves us managing the present meta and planning the meta months down the road. This involves a mix of content, economy, and feature changes. I'm glad to hear that the current diversity is to your liking. By using relics to target the mix of character, role and primary stat, we knew we could consistently raise the floor to improve the general health and viability of all characters, with special focus on character types that had fallen behind. What happened to Leviathan? He was investigating cheating and is now no longer working for CG. Who is heading cheating reports now? Cheating reports from the forums are primarily handled by Lucifer's daddy. You can still message Leviathan if you find a cheater, but it's better to message Lucifer directly on the forums. How much of the dead team that would normally work on new content for SWGoH was diverted to the new project that was announced? None. I assume this is a question about the slowdown in content. Making the territory battle is a pretty monumental undertaking. We have to model the new units, come up with new kits and balance tens of combat nodes. We are also starting preliminary ideation on a raid, no promises, finishing work on the epic confrontation and preparing for episode 9. It's busy here. When you design Darkside GOTB, was it tuned to D12, G12, G13 or R7 also? Can you tell us to which level Lightside GOTB will be tuned? We tuned Darkside GO to anticipate relics. And no, we will not tell you the tuning for Lightside. Spoiler, that's required. Okay. Edit. Yucks, this is what happens when you're answering questions quickly. Relics are not hard required for Lightside GO, but the missions are tuned for them. My apologies for the confusion. Have you ever considered a non-combat related element to the game, such as politics, economy or society? Star Wars heroes were much more than just combatants. We always consider story and theme when creating content, and features drive content. In fact, we have a pending feature design that leans into iconic Star Wars stories and themes and uses the stats and powers of the characters to move through these stories. It's farther down the road for us, though definitely on our radar. The neutral tag still exists. Any plans to revisit a possible neutral tune, or will that tag remain there, taunting us? Sometimes I think it moves, but it could just be the wind. The short answer is yes, we plan to use it. There are no timelines plans we are prepared to announce yet. Have you considered debunking purported leak? I think a lot of community frustration can spin up because people put stock in images of unknown origin to fill a void in expectations. I think it's long and losing battle to try and debunk every SWGoH rumour on the internet. Not only would it be very time consuming, but I also don't see how this stops devolving into players trying to deduce what is real by asking pointed questions and reading even more into the tea leaves. Would it be possible to have Q&A sessions with other folks in the studio? Designers, engineers and artists all have interesting perspectives, and getting to ask them some questions would help lead insight into making of the game. Would help lead insight into the making of this great game. This is a great point and something I've been wanting to do once we started doing Q&A regularly. I'd love to include someone from the art team in the next Q&A. I'll announce the different groups in advance of next month's Q&A. Carbon promotion is misaligned in D1-2 compared to D3 and below. It's easy to be promoted for worse performance in lower divs. Since significant rewards accrue to the arbitrary promotion threshold, divs 1 to 2 players are tuning out of GA once they know they will land in all Erodium and can't make Kyber. Push rewards to the individual matchup and or battle rather than the promotion threshold. Scale them by league such that higher leagues pay out more to encourage best play. This would also let people opt in or out for individual weeks without killing their ranking or their potential rewards. Thanks for reading. Question mark. The hypothesis for the Vanguard Championships was to hold our most powerful players to a higher standard, engaging with all aspects of the championship to reach Kyber. Ultimately, engagement patterns were different than we had modelled based on standalone arena, so we have plans to adjust the promotion thresholds across a number of divisions. I don't have exact timing for you, but we want to achieve a more consistent distribution across leagues or divisions. The final tuning needs to take into account the vastly different patterns with Grand Arena engagement in division populations. Anyway. Any chance you can bring back modified, i.e. reasonable bonuses for TW, but allow the guild to choose them. Provide maybe 4 or 5 options similar to the original. We got a lot of mixed feedback about territory wars bonuses. While it met some of our goals, it also caused a lot of negative sentiment in the community. We are exploring a way to introduce customizable experience into the game, including an idea where you can opt to take on greater challenges in exchange for greater rewards. RPD self-destructibility is becoming obsolete with G13 and Relics, making many characters able to survive an RPD bomb. Is there any consideration to increasing RPD's damage in line with the power creep in the game? A few very specific damage mechanics have not scaled well with G13 and especially not with Relics. As always, our balance efforts are ongoing and we'll be looking into the best way to not just bring units up to parity but to better maintain their relevance in the future. When will the tank grade be symbol? Good question. We recently started the analysis on what it means to sim the AAT. It's something we'd like to see sometime soon too, just need to make sure it makes sense. HSTR is probably further out. A lot further out. With the Malik event coming back soon, can we as player base assume that this will be the norm for these types of events moving forward? We're still working out what the formal timeline for the epic implications are. Once we have a prescribed way around it, we'll likely do an update to the character release cadence document. Oh, hello. Can you guys please have skins for characters? Oh, another money making machine. I think that skins will look more appealing to people that play SWGoH. For example, Darth Maul could wear his hood. This will give him a more Sith feel to the gameplay. We've answered this before, I think, but we have no intention of doing skins for characters which is made in Galaxy of Heroes. There's a couple of reasons for this. We like creating playable kits around the visual changes. Anyway, characters go through, and 2, doing something like adding hoods has a lot of technical overhead that's not as gameplay relevant, and we're still very much focused on improving overall gameplay modes in the game. You stated you wanted to move away from arenas as the main source of crystals with GAC as a replacement. How would that work? Would arena even be relevant? Great question, and one we've been working on, albeit on the back burner a bit. Every time we put work against it, we uncover some nasty edge cases or hard questions around it, which makes us keep coming back to the question, is it the right thing to do? This doesn't mean that it sinks the idea or the enterprise of it, but it means it's a hard problem and one that we need to continue to put work against. Speculating widely, it would probably mean that we'd need to expand GAC again, as well as accommodate what would need to be the day-to-day crystal inflow source, but that's wild speculation and not the gospel according to Go. Does the dev team get any early info about movies, TV shows, comics, etc.? We're constantly talking with our partners about how to deliver relevant and exciting programming that's aligned with the big beats going on in the Star Wars universe, as well aligning with our partners and other EA Star Wars projects. Part of that conversation has been around aligning our roadmaps earlier so we can take advantage of as many opportunities as possible and have complementary offerings across multiple products. As far as that goes, yeah, the information we have access to at any given time is an evolution. We have to be incredibly cautious about talking about what we know and what we don't know, but generally we read in on an outline and get more details as time goes on. We have incredible partners at Lucasfilm that help prepare us very well. How far into the future does your furthest plan go? As in, do you know what's coming in 4 months, 6 months, a year? We generally have a pretty solid idea what we're doing about a year out at any given time. We have plans that go even further out, but like all roadmaps, things get hazier the further out you look. This is true of both the new features and content we plan on releasing. We have got many years worth of ideas for features and characters in the backlog, and we keep coming up with more, so there's no shortage of plans. In terms of current plans, some of the features in the game right now have detailed roadmaps spanning the next couple of years. There are also new features we hope to launch in one of the next title updates that will need to grow over time and to be supported with future content. Can we get shirtless Kylo Ren for one of the November GAC portraits? I can ask, no promises. Economy. Will it be possible to upgrade 4.mods to 5.mods? We don't have plans for this at this time. Why did you choose to put signal data on nodes without character shards as well? All this does is create a further divide between new and old players. You have to choose between farming shards for much needed characters or farming data for relics. This is intentional, as we do not want low level accounts to farm resources they cannot use at the time in their life cycle. There's an argument to be made that it helps them prepare once they get to G13, but low level players are heavily focused on resources they need now and not end-game goals initially. Why not put them on nodes with character shards? In short, we wanted you to make the hard choice. Do you continue to grow your roster, or do you double down on the characters you have? Is a fundamental choice you have to make for progressing in SWGoH. Okay, very short section that was. Onto content. We want a sandbox mode, a way to practice our teams against guildmate teams. Why don't you give us on the community's top requests? This is not only a popular request from players outside the studio, but is one of the most popular feature requests from players inside the studio. An engaging sandbox feature is an important part of the future feature set for SWGoH, and while we cannot tell you exactly when this feature will make it to the holotables, we can tell you with certainty that a plan for this feature is in the books, as the saying goes. Hi, could you please tell us when we'll be getting new content in a way to help with the gear problem that has gotten significantly worse for free-to-play or small spending players since the release of Relics? New content, and more specifically new content for all players, is a major priority for us this year and next. It does take us a while to make new content, and we've been working on large content efforts for the better part of this and last year. As a result, content that is smaller in scope and more accessible has taken a backseat. A significant portion of our efforts in the coming year will be around making new ways to play SWGoH, and for those new ways to play to be fun and engaging for all players. Will we get any new content for ships to help give some variety to the mode? Yes. Our plans for the upcoming year include new ways to play and experience SWGoH, and in ways that include ships. Additionally, you can expect ship battles to appear in the next epic confrontation, GAC, and yes, the upcoming raid in the present plan. That one's interesting. Will ships ever come back to Grand Arena? Also, will there be a shake-up for ships diversity? Yes. Near-term future championships will include ships as well as 3v3 modes. I wonder if that's outside of GAC as well. Will there be a new raid before the end of the year? Before the end of 2019? Sadly no. In the first part of 2020, that's currently the plan. We are also working on ways to build both solo and guild content more quickly. Have you guys thought about making GA defense presets? Like, so you can set loadouts for different defenses you might want to place, and when the GA setup phase starts, you can select which you want to place, and your defense will be automatically placed instead of having to place each team separately. That would be fun. We are actively tracking pain points in the championship's user experience and putting together a holistic solution to improve the feature while respecting and supporting its competitive core. This includes improving the efficiency, deploying units, and planning tactics and strategies in advance. Could content ever come from the Extended Universe Legacy books. TIE Defenders, Nograi, Zinj, Kol, Katan, Konorn, Dash Render. Never heard of any of them. Maybe we're not actively thinking about those characters right now with episode 9 Disney Plus and still missing other beloved characters from the main canon. It'll be a while before we start picking at this content. Disney Plus, so that means the Mandalorian stuff. And some more Clone Wars maybe. What qualifies an event as an epic confrontation? Internally, we think of epic confrontation as requiring specific characters, some amount of story, and puzzle elements. Now with all the G13 and Relics in the game, we are growing more stronger to the point where it's faster to complete raids. Is there a new raid in the works? Will there be any mythic tiers for Rancor, Hat, or Sith raid? Just hinted at it above, but we're in early stages of development. We've talked a lot about mythic tiers for legacy raids. Right now the biggest handicap is a decision between a new raid and rehashing the old ones. If we do rehashes of the old ones, we have some concerns about how we make them more compelling and instead of just making them more typical. We learned a lot from the Sith raid and we want to make sure we don't just amp difficulty and instead add new fun factors. Once we start adding new fun factors, then we end up in the discussion points about new raids. That's a very long-winded way to say we prioritise new raids. We're currently working on a new one. Good, excuse me. For long-time players like myself who have completed all legendary events, there is a real shortage of events or activities to do right now on a daily basis. Do you have plans to create or add more day-to-day events that will require playing rather than hitting the sim button? We've talked about this before, but we've been building more system-wide events like GA, TW and TB instead of more specific events. We want to come back to more daily events, but we think the TV, the raid and some other things we're working on beyond the epic implementation are more pressing. Will light side Geo include a creature to fight the acclaimed dark side? Yes, you can plan to square off against the Reap in a battle that is similar to the Accolade fight. Additionally, you can expect to do battle with the fearsome next. What era of Star Wars are the next tunes coming from? Resistance animated series, Rise of Skywalker, Fallen Order? Top Hat may have covered this already, but if not, we are personally focused on characters and content spanning Rise of Skywalker as well as episodes 7 and 8. Hey there, this is CG. I was wondering, since you have so many current characters out and some on the way as well as more gear, is it possible that you're going to add some more stages in like container battles or light side and dark side battles? You'll see more raid and solo guild content features outside of the tables first as our focus. For the most part of the coming year will be on building dynamic replayable content. Are there any plans to bring fleet ship content up to parity with character content? Currently there are no fleet mythics for Chimera or Han's Falcon, no fleet assault battles and no fleet Omega battles. Yeah. If you mean 180 something ships, probably not. However, it's not a dead part of the game to us. One of the things we've been working through is how to make sure that that's not as dominated by a single meta given that there are a fewer number of ships. Good job. We looked at GAC and realised that if we add ship nodes to it, which we're going to be doing soon, we can create more interesting matchups if we have more capital ships. The strategy right now is to introduce more capital ships so that there is more leaders for ships. Our hope is to roll out a couple more this year. Oh, fingers crossed, no promises. Come on, GG. And then work on introducing more individual ships. The raid we're in early stages, very early, no promises. On 2 has a ships phase in it. That'll be interesting, very interesting. Okay, now on to relics. Are you guys planning on adding more relic levels? Good God, I hope not. We designed the system so we can add more relic levels in the future, but we don't have any plans in the short term. It's something we will most likely reconsider at the end of the year as continuing to add onto the system lets us reshape the existing economy while exploring a new power space. With relics increasing the power of pilots and therefore ships, how does the ship without pilots evolve? We are aware of this growing gap and we are actively exploring ways to ensure that crewless ships do not fall behind in power. With the ability to scrap gear now, will we see the ability to craft gear without needing it for a character? We are currently designing a way to craft any gear without going through characters. We are trying to address it holistically to generally improve the item experience in the game. Do you have any characters with relics? If so, who and why? I'm proud to say that my first relic on my entirely free-to-play account, which you will get, and my next will go to Ewok Elder. Jedi Knight Revan, still on my powerful team at the moment, but I was considering Boba, of course. Castilla, I'm working on Boss. I'm deciding which Chewbacca to put it on. I'm also deciding which stuff to put on. I mean, we're both big guys. Chewbacca bros. Okay, not funny. Can we get a signal data heist, like we get mod salvage heist and mod salvage introduction? Oh, that'd be good. We're still in the evaluation phase of relics and determining whether a single data heist is needed, and if it is, what does it look like? No plans at this time. Why release relics now? Like gear, it's an expansion of character progression, so why release it without a new feature? Wouldn't it have been better if relics was introduced with Lightside TB release? Why release relics without completing the relic ability feature? Are we going to see more relic levels with Lightside TB? Can we expect more relic levels added twice a month or more? A lot to unpack here. Yeah. We are not expanding the number of relic levels with Lightside TB. We don't have a cadence of relic levels yet, still evaluating it as per above. You're right, we typically release progression systems alongside a larger content beat. We didn't this time because of the size and scope of relics. We wanted to evaluate it in a vacuum as much as possible. As we've indicated before, we think of relics as being a platform with some potentially really interesting changes, and we wanted to evaluate it relatively clean without something else in the system potentially inflating or deflating its numbers. Regarding relic abilities, we knew these required a non-trivial amount of engineering time and wanted to see how relics would be adopted before we invested that deeply. If relics were not well adopted, then the work on relic abilities would not have been wasted. It was mentioned somewhere that not all toons will be getting relic abilities. It might invalidate a lot of our investment in current toons. If true, can you release a list of toons or an ongoing updated list of toons that will get relic abilities like the dev tracker? We're still going through a lot of the work of relic abilities and things may change. There's a chance all characters get relic abilities, there's a chance we limit it. There's a chance there's multiple flavours of relic abilities. When we get closer, we'll start figuring out what we can communicate out. Okay, quality of life. Can you keep GTV for 36 hours? It's taking a long time to get everyone to platoon and do the combat. 36 hours gives us more leeway and it is not so rushed. We originally wanted to move it to 24-hour rotation, but we've really only had positive reaction to the longer phase. For the moment, our plan is to keep it as is. Over time, as Geo becomes more utilized, we will probably take another look at the length of phases at that time. Will we ever see the ability for ranks 1 to 4 to see back to rank 5 in the arenas? Interesting question. We'll talk with the team about whether making more of the arena leaderboard makes sense. As a quality of life option, can you add an option to make notes on specific nodes characters similar to PW notes by guild leaders? It would be nice to be able to put some reminders in-game on favourite nodes or character-specific notes to remind us of progress, etc. We can certainly look into this along with other qual items around PW communication. Can we get some sort of numerical counter like ferocity for other characters that have stacking abilities, i.e. Ventress or Tarkin? For example, this is a great idea. The UI changes we made could support this type of quality of life improvement. We'll get something together to make sure UI and game design cover the necessary changes and get that scheduled. On Character Squad Arena, Team's preview page, instead of the level of giving in Character Squad Arena, Team's preview page, instead of the level of the given character, you should be indicate the speed of the character. Among gears that are in the links, that the speed is the most important attribute. It would be very nice as well. This screen is a great candidate for a TLC because it's one of the players interact with repeatedly. The ability to cycle between visible stats like a treadmill could work well in conjunction with some other supporting information. Great idea. Would you consider adding some Wampas to a reliable place where it's possible to find and kill them? It's almost impossible to finish the Boba Fett quest now with the GOTB. This is a low priority for us, not something I think we're going to pick up anytime soon. So no. Why is there no review period for territory battles? Like there is a Territory Wars and Green Arena championships. A review period would be very helpful to guild leadership and extremely welcome. Simple answer is we didn't build one. We built TB first. We learned a lot building TB. As we built TW and GAH, we realised that more people would want to review combat results in TW and GAH. As we built those systems, we made sure to include a review. Only recently, like 6 months, have we gotten what I would call a significant number of requests for it. It's on our backlog of things to do, but it's not currently being worked on. Are there any plans to allow us to run both versions of the TVs at the same time, Hoth and GA? It's one of my favourite game modes, and now that my guild has switched to Hoth, I don't get to play that one anymore. From Hoth. I don't get to play that one anymore, and others in the guild don't have the ability to get charged for RPD. No plans at this time. When we first released it, we articulated some reasons why that was the case. Too much reward. Different. Currently, the only way to see in-game how many certain items we have is to search through characters if one of them happens to have searched items, which takes large amounts of time. Any chance we could get an item inventory so we could check in no time what we have and what we possibly still need to farm when needed would help planning long ahead gear level wise. I know this is something Sven cares a lot about and has been exploring. Any further thoughts, Sven? I'm glad to hear there's interest in this. I'm a big believer in this and I'm working on design for an item inventory which would include a number of quality of life improvements around key in particular. Is it possible to get a 600S counter on the main screen so we don't have to rely on constant staging from our guild bosses? Will officers get the ability to see who has not completed combat missions in which territory hunting down who is actually missing scenes is extremely difficult. We'll consider these an upcoming qual. Could we get a qual update that puts the ship energy and all energy to be displayed on the main page? There's a lot to consider from UI standpoint. Primarily, how do we handle all the different screen sizes and aspect ratios? That makes this more complicated than it might seem. Without an overhaul in the UI, we will likely stick with the display of energy in this context. Is there any way you could allow officers to prohibit their deployment to 1 or 2 platoons only in territory battles? We can look into this along with other officer control for territory battles. Since the introduction of Mods 2.0, I've regularly been at the mod inventory cap, and managing making room for new mods has become a really time-consuming part of the game. Is there any chance you could increase the inventory cap? There are technical constraints that block us from increasing this. Related, we're looking into different ways to make selling mods easier. Yeah, how about just straight away? Can we please get some ability control? What of our squad ship improvement activity gets sent in chat? I don't want my guildmates chiding me or booting me for dropping that guilty pleasure Zeta on my favourite tune just because it's not the current meta. I'll add this to the list of qual items to look into. Those items are meant to be a celebration of meaningful progress and not fodder for embarrassment or disruption. Can we get a replay function in the game? Specifically to see what was used against us, like the ability to find what the opponent tried to beat my team with in arena, territory wars or grand arena. It would be super helpful, especially when trying to find cheaters, but I would like to know what my opponent uses to beat my defences in one try. This is a very important feature for us and is an important part of the future of SWGoH. While we aren't ready to talk about where we are in the process, we can say we'll spend considerable time this year and next working towards a battle replay feature. Would it be possible to sell unwanted mods right from the inbox? That's what I just said. It actually makes me think of something I like to take as a part of a quality of life update, either an automatic system or one player can control to automatically sell mods below a certain quality before they even hit the inbox. Okay, on to topic. The stun solos shoot first stun on both hits. Says he's stun twice and why? He applies 2 stacks of ferocity to Darth Revan lead Sith Empire, for example, on the first turn. Shouldn't just the first shot stun the target and the second bonus attack just do damage? Han Solo's unique ability shoots first allows his basic attack to apply stun during his bonus turn at the beginning of battle. Additionally, this ability allows him to attack again the first time he uses his basic attack this turn. The combination of these 2 effects create a scenario where he uses his basic attack twice in the same turn, thus applying stun twice. Thanks for those very helpful answers. How does crit avoidance interact with crit chance? If Yoda has 150% crit chance and Prey has 70% crit avoidance, does Yoda have an 80% chance to hit? The provided example is correct. The chance to critically hit is simply critical chance minus critical avoidance. Fun fact, this means that negative critical avoidance, such as from the General Grievous's leader ability, can increase your chance to critically hit. Minus 20% crit avoidance on a character means attackers have plus 20% critical chance against that unit. Oh, done. Thanks for lasting this one. If you did, that was quite an effort. You probably just saw me stumbling over many words. So yeah, again, lots of information about SWGoH, but not actually giving us a lot of information. Oh well, hope you got something out of this, because I certainly didn't get much. Few good features there. Again, probably wouldn't mind seeing a road ahead, just to give us a bit more excitement about what's coming, not what might be coming in the next year or two. Oh well, stay safe.